Next, make the axolotl's gills. The gills are divided into two parts. One part is the main body of the gill. Use pink single-strand yarn. The other part is the gill filaments, made with cotton yarn. There are two sizes of gills here, named respectively as the large gill part and the small gill part. The large gill part is longer and located in the middle of the three gills on one side. Two large gill parts are needed, but small gill parts are needed. Next, learn how to make it. Take out the pink single-strand yarn from the material kit. The gill starts with a chain stitch foundation. You need to make a slip knot first. Hold the yarn tail with one hand, like this. Wrap the yarn tail into a loop. Press the intersection of the yarn with your thumb and middle finger. Connect this yarn to the skein. From the loop like this, pull out. Then pull the yarn tail. Tighten the first formed loop. This completes a slip knot. Take out the crochet hook. Insert the crochet hook into the loop. Hold the yarn connected to the skein to tighten the loop. The crochet hook should have a comfortable tension for movement. Wrap the yarn around your hand. Note that the yarn tail can be left a bit longer here. Pinch the slip knot part with your thumb and middle finger. Now let's make the large gill part. Make 8 chain stitches. Place the crochet hook in front of the working yarn. Wrap the yarn around the crochet hook once. Yarn over and pull through the existing loop on the crochet hook. This completes 1 chain stitch. 8 chain stitch looks as a V shape from the side. Such a V shape is a chain stitch. The second chain stitch. There are 2 V shapes here. The third chain stitch. 3 V shapes. The fourth chain stitch. The fifth chain stitch. The sixth chain stitch. The seventh chain stitch. The eighth chain stitch. 8 chain stitches are completed. The side you see now has 8 V shapes. Flip to the other side. We will see the middle position. There are horizontal lines like this. There are a total of 8. This indicates there are 8 chain stitches. The lines in the middle here are called back bumps. Next, we will crochet by inserting the hook into the back bumps. Insert the crochet hook back into the loop and tighten the loop. Hang the yarn on your hand. First, crochet 3 slip stitches. Skip the first back bump. Insert the hook into the second back bump. If it's difficult to insert the hook into the back bump, you can use a sewing needle to loosen it. Then use the crochet hook to insert and crochet. First, crochet a slip stitch. Use the crochet hook to pull the yarn through. Now there are 2 loops on the crochet hook. Bring the newly formed loop into the original loop on the crochet hook. 1 slip stitch is completed. Second slip stitch. The third slip stitch. Three slip stitches are completed. Next, for single crochet, crochet a single crochet into each of the remaining 4 back bumps. The first single crochet. The second single crochet. The third single crochet. Fourth single crochet. Here, 3 slip stitches and 4 single crochet were made on the back bumps. Enlarge the loop on the crochet hook. Remove the crochet hook. Leave a long yarn tail and cut the yarn. Pass your fingers through the loop. Pull out the yarn tail and tighten. This can prevent the last stitch from loosening. The main body of one large gill part is completed. Take out the rose red no cotton yarn from the material kit to make the gill filaments. The large gill requires 15 pieces sections each 2 to 3 inches long. First, divide the yarn into 15 sections. Find the yarn end. Hang the yarn on your index finger like this. Wrap the yarn around your index and middle fingers 15 times. Cut the yarn after wrapping. Remove the yarn from your fingers. Insert scissors through the bottom of the loops and cut the loops. Cut the yarn and set it aside for later use. Take out the completed main part of the large gill. The side facing us now is the front side. Turning to the side, you'll find it's made up of V-shapes. There are a total of 15 such V-shapes. Secure a gill filament on the back loop of each V-shape. This side is the front side of the fabric. The yarn closest to us is the front loop. The loop farthest from us is the back loop. Secure the gill filament on the back loop. Take out the crochet hook. Insert the crochet hook through the first back loop. Take out the prica yarn. Hang it on the crochet hook like this. Align both ends. Pull the yarn through with the crochet hook. Now there is a loop on the crochet hook. Place the two strands of the yarn tail above the crochet hook. Pull the yarn through the loop just formed on the crochet hook. Tighten the yarn tail. This secures one gill filament. Second gill filament. Tighten the yarn tail. Complete in this manner sequentially. If it's difficult to insert the hook, you can use a sewing needle to loosen the back loop. Then insert the crochet hook again. This way 15 gill filaments are secured. Next, you need to trim the gill filaments. At the beginning of trimming, don't cut too short. After sewing the gills onto the main body, make adjustments. Now the large gill part is completed. You need to make another one using the same method. Here, 2 large gills are completed. Take out the pink single-strand yarn from the material kit to make the small gill part. The small gill part requires starting with a chain stitch foundation to make 7 chain stitches. The method is the same as for the large gill part. First, make a slip knot. The yarn end on this side needs to be left a bit longer. Insert the crochet hook into the loop and tighten. Wrap the yarn on your hand. Pinch the slip knot with your thumb and middle finger. Place the crochet hook in front of the working yarn. Make 7 chain stitches. The first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. The 7th one. 7 chain stitches are completed. Crochet 3 slip stitches in 3 single crochet on the back bumps. Skip the first stitch. Work a slip stitch on the second back bump. Second slip stitch. The third slip stitch. Then crochet 3 single crochet. The first single crochet. The second single crochet. The third single crochet. Three single crochet are completed. Enlarge the loop on the crochet hook. Remove the crochet hook, leave a long yarn tail and cut the yarn. Pass your fingers through the loop. Find the yarn tail and tighten. Take out the rose red yarn for the gill filaments. The method for making the gill filaments is the same as for the large gill part. Each gill here requires 13 pieces of yarn about 2 inches long. First, make 13 pieces of yarn about 2 inches long. Hang the yarn on your index finger. Wrap the yarn around your index and middle fingers 13 times. Wrap 13 times. Cut the yarn. Take it off. Insert scissors under the loops. Cut. Set the yarn aside for later use. Take out the completed small gill part. Similarly, make the gill filaments on the back loops of the stitches. Insert the crochet hook through the back loop. Take out the pre-cut yarn segment. Hang it on the crochet hook and pull through. Now there is a loop on the crochet hook. Hang the 2 yarn tails on the crochet hook. Yarn over and pull through. Pull the yarn tight. This secures 1 gill filament. Complete the remaining 12 in the same way. "13 gill filaments are secured. Next, proceed to trimming. This completes the small gill part. Make 4 in total in the same way. Our small gills are completed. Next, proceed to sewing. Take out the completed gills and main body. Sew the gills onto round 6/11 of the main body symmetrically on both sides. First, determine the round count. Use a sewing needle to mark between the 5th and 6th rounds. Both sides need to be symmetrical, viewed from the top. This way, it is relatively symmetrical. Make sure to sew between these two rounds. Count 6 rounds down. Attach a stitch marker in the gap between the 11th and 12th rounds. Attach a stitch marker in the gap between the 5th and 6th rounds. It takes up a total of 6 rounds. Each gill takes 2 rounds to sew. Now sew the first small gill. Find any yarn tail and thread it onto the sewing needle. Remove the stitch marker. The sewing needle goes through 2 rounds. Pay attention here. The front side should face forward. If you're worried about positioning issues, you can sew all 6 gills first. Don't sew tightly. Then take a look at the effect. Finally, secure the whole piece. Then take out the second piece. The second piece requires the large gill, a relatively longer gill. Thread any yarn tail onto the sewing needle. Then take out the small gill. Sew it at the bottom position. One side is completed. Ensure the positions are correct before sewing carefully. You can sew the gills on the other side as well. See the overall effect after both sides are sewn. Both sides are sewn. The positions here are confirmed to be correct. You can continue sewing. Sew the gill more securely. There are no specific requirements for the sewing method here. After sewing securely, weave in the ends. Insert the yarn tail into the fabric. Imitate the shape of the stitch. Pull through like this. Then you can cut off the excess yarn end. Use the same method for the other side. Cut off the excess yarn ends. This way, one side of the gills is secured. Smooth out. Tidy up the other side. Everyone can do the final securing themselves. The video won't show a detailed demonstration. This way, both sides of the gills are sewn. If you're not satisfied with the length of the gill filaments, you can trim again. Next, sew the axolotl's arms. Sew the arms on rounds 17 to 20. We can attach a stitch marker on round 17. Round 17, round 18, round 19, round 20. Sew the arms symmetrically on both sides over these 4 rounds. Take out the arm. Flatten the arm along the yarn tail. So like this from round 17 to round 20. Directly below the gills. Find the yarn tail. Take out the sewing needle. Thread the yarn tail onto the sewing needle. One arm is sewed. After sewing the arm, it slightly turns outward, if you don't want it to turn outward. You can sew a stitch on the second to last or third to last round to secure it. Weave the yarn tail back and forth inside the fabric several times. Imitate the stitch of a single crochet. Weave in the ends. Cut off the excess yarn ends. One arm is sewn. Use the same method to sew the other arm. Thread the yarn tail onto the sewing needle. Flatten the arm. Sew it between the 17th and 20th rounds. Here, our needle insertion point is a bit further back. You can redo the sewing. The arms are sewn. Next, sew the legs. Sew the legs onto the main body between the 24 and 26 rounds. First, determine the positions. Rounds 24 to 26 are 3 rounds down from the arms. On these 3 rounds, take out one of the legs. Here, we flatten it. Then sew it below the arm. Find the yarn tail. Take out the sewing needle. The shape here is not full enough. You can use a sewing needle to slightly adjust it. This way, one leg is sewn. Similarly, weave back and forth inside the fabric a few times to secure the ends. Cut off the excess yarn end. Use the same method for the other side. Thread the yarn tail of the other leg onto the sewing needle. The axolotl's legs are sewn. Now let's embroider the axolotl's mouth. We will use black yarn. Only need to take one strand. The mouth is in a double U shape. Embroider between the two eyes on the 11th round of the main body. Take a piece of black yarn. Here it is 20 inches long. Extract one strand of yarn. Be careful not to take it too long. If the yarn is too long, it is easy to tangle when extracting strands. Extract one strand, thread it onto the sewing needle. Take out the axolotl. Embroider a W-shaped mouth on round 11. First, confirm the round count. Round 11 is the one below the eyes. Insert the needle from any position. Between the 10th and 11th rounds. Bring the needle out next to the eyes. Pull it to the hole below the other eye and insert the needle. Skip 8 stitches in the middle. You can count them. Skip 8 stitches in the middle and bring the needle out at the middle position for stitches from each side. Insert the needle into the same hole. Then skip to stitches diagonally downwards. Bring the needle out. Pick up the thread above. Pull it downwards. Form a small V shape. Then insert the needle again from the same hole. Pass to the other side. Leave 4 stitches here first. You need to pull the thread tight here. Pick up the thread above. Pull down the thread above using the same method. Insert the needle from the same stitch. Exit the needle from any position. Pull the thread tight. Now you can use the sewing needle to adjust the shape. Then pass both threads through the same hole. Pull the thread tight and tie a knot. cut off the excess yarn ends. The axolotl's mouth is embroidered. Next, embroider the lines on the arms and legs. You need to use rose reed yarn. Take a piece of rose reed yarn and thread it onto the sewing needle. Be careful not to take it too long. You can embroider this part by part here. Take out the main body part. Let's first embroider the 3 lines on the arm. Here, you need to embroider 3 lines on the second round of the arm. Embroider 1 line like this twice. Then insert the needle into the adjacent stitch to embroider the second line. Three lines are completed. Hold the 2 yarn tails through the same hole and tie a knot. Hook the yarn end into the fabric. Use the same method for the other side. The fingers on both sides of the arms are completed. Next, embroider the 3 lines on the legs. The 3 lines on the arms are embroidered on the sides. The 3 lines on the leg are embroidered on the top. On the 3rd round of the leg. Here, you need to stitch every other stitch. This completes one side of the leg. Continue stitching the other side. The gills tend to curl up like this. If you prefer them to be straight, you can dilute white glue and apply it to the main body of the gills. It will help the gills hold their shape better. The hugging axolotl is completed.